Okay, we are going to try this again. I'll explain what I mean in a minute. I want to make sure that this works this time. Okay, bear with me. Let me make sure that this is working. You guys are going to laugh. I literally went live for 30 minutes and talked to myself. It never posted. Okay. All right. Okay. I see comments. I see comments. I have no idea what happened. We'll call that a rehearsal. Okay. We'll call that a rehearsal. I don't know what happened. So I'm not really 30 minutes late. I mean, I am for you guys, but I was live somewhere talking. So someone else in this Facebook world, they got my 30-minute message on systems. So hello, hello, hello. My name is Johanna Luna. I am a superstar director out of Illinois, and I'm here tonight. Thank you, Shelby, for asking me to come on and talk to you guys about systems. I'm going to show you a little bit about one of my systems, but more than that, I'm going to talk about why systems matter, okay? So let me get re-prepared and talk to you a little bit about why systems matter. So a little bit of background for you all. I am, as I said, a superstar director. I have a very small group. I have 300 people in my group, which is still a huge downline. That's still a lot of people to lead. Sorry, I literally talked for half an hour, so I'm a little dry. It's still a lot of people to lead, but in addition, I work a full-time job. I am an executive assistant, so I work 40 to 50 hours a week, depending on the week. I have 2 children. I am so sorry. This is just a mess tonight. I have 2 children and a husband that keep me very busy. My children are, I am losing my voice. Oh my God. My children are almost 10 and 7. They are both very involved in sports, extracurricular activities, and the like. So, all of that to be said, if I didn't have systems in my business, I would not be successful. Point blank, period. I truly do believe that you cannot run a business by the seat of your pants. Like, that's not running a business. And I say that because in my 9-to-5 job as an executive assistant, I have supported all kinds of businesses for the last 15 years. Big companies, small companies, CEOs, directors, all kinds of executives, and all different types of businesses. And I can tell you that no matter the size of the company, each one has specific systems and processes in place to make them run smoothly. Systems are all about creating workflow and efficiency. So systems move people, right? We move products as consultants, but systems move us. They're how we work. And as you guys are approaching leadership, as you're approaching director and above, you're going to find that you need systems more than ever. Because as you have a team of people that you need to help move along, that you have to help inspire, you're going to need things in place so that you can still run your business and help mentor and coach others. So I want to start off with a little quote here that I think is really, really important. Okay. Systems and processes are essential to keep the crusade going, but they should not replace the crusade. They're essential to keep it going, but not replace the crusade. I want you to replace the word crusade with something that you use more often. Replace it with the word why. Systems and processes are essential to keep the why moving, but they should not replace the why. So what do I mean by this? I mean that Your systems should support what it is that you're doing in this business, what it is that's most important to you so that you could do more to get yourself there. Okay? If you are working your business and every month you are just kind of flying by the seat of your pants, I'm going to use that phrase again, and you just wake up every day and you're like, I'm going to post a little bit on social media, maybe follow up with this customer because I saw something that they posted, or I ran into so and so, so I'm going to ask them if they need more wax. You're not going to get very far. Okay? You have to have things in place that are going to support your overall mission. So I'll give you an example. Working a full-time job, being with my children, running from this sport to this sport to this sport, I have to have systems in place that help me maintain that lifestyle, that allow me to do it all. Do it all, right? I can't do it all every day, right? That's insane. No one can do it all every day. You do a little bit here, you do a little bit there, you do a little bit more some nights, a little bit less some nights, depending on what your life is. But you decide that. When I was thinking about how to present this to you all, I thought about what systems could I show them? What could I do? Which one of my systems could I share with them to really inspire them to go out and recreate it for themselves? And I stopped myself right there. I don't want you to go out and leave this training right now and think to yourself, I have to go do that. I have to go implement that. No, no. I don't want you to get hung up on the what. I want you to get hung up on the why. Okay? Everything that we do in this business, in order to help us grow and be more successful and build bigger businesses every day, little by little, have to support those three areas of our business, right? Chloe Cox refers to this as the three legs of success: sales, recruiting, and coaching. You need to have a system in your business that will span all of those, or a system that supports each of those. However you set that up, whatever works for you is ultimately for you to decide. Because I could tell you all day, your leader could tell you all day, your SSD, your sponsor, that you should do this, or this works for me. But ultimately, the best system is going to be the system that you use. The system that you use regularly that's going to help you be your most successful. So, one of the things that I mentioned is that I've seen all of these businesses throughout my career as an EA. I've seen all of these executives have their way of doing things, right? Whether it be a color-coded calendar to get them through meetings, whether it be that they write things out on a notebook, right? Whether they print their materials, they don't print their materials, how they hit their goals and their margins every month, how they make sure that they're working with their teams effectively to meet their own personal management objectives, whatever those things are, they're all systems. And I think that if you were to stop and look at your business and you were to say to yourself, what in my business today is working really, really well? What am I doing extremely well in my business? Pick an area. Maybe it's your sales. You're a rock star sales person. You get high PRV month over month over month. What's your system? Well, I don't have a system. I bet you do. I bet you have a pattern of habits that you do consistently. That's a system. A pattern of habits that you do consistently, that are repetitive, that are duplicatable, that's a system. No matter how simple or complex it is, doesn't matter. If it's fancy, if it's written out um, in a formal process, doesn't matter. If it helps you be successful, if it's something that you know that you can rely on month over month to get the results that you get, it's a system and it works for you. Doesn't have to be fancy, just has to work, right? And so when you think about all of the things in this business that you have to worry about, and all of the various balls that end up in the air eventually during some point of the month, right? We have club members that we have to maintain, and we've got our own sales goals, and we have our own recruiting goals, and we're having these recruiting conversations. Then there's the onboarding of those recruits once they come on. Then there's the coaching of the leaders once they start to move up. All of these things are working in tandem, and our systems need to support those things in tandem. Okay? Again, it doesn't really matter what it looks like. It just matters that you have something in place to do it. Because what I have seen, as much as I've seen success in business, I've also seen failure in business. And oftentimes that failure comes from lack of systems, lack of processes. Those things will ultimately be of disservice to you, right? And sometimes it's a matter of finding the things that work for you, right? So I want you to spend the time right now thinking about what it is that's working in your business, and more importantly, what's not working in your business. Those are the things that are not working in your business are the things that need the most attention. They're the things that need the system in place. So spend the time to invest in systems and processes now in our slower season, in this dip, to provide for long-term sustainable growth during our busier seasons, right? If you put systems in place now, in the fall, your business is going to run like a well-oiled machine because you're going to know what you're doing day after day, right? So your system is about keeping you informed. It's about keeping you knowledgeable and accountable to what you're supposed to do every day, right? So let me give you an example. I'm going to flip ahead a few months so that I'm not sharing with you all my personal business situation. And I'm going to share with you my most valuable system. This is the system that I live and breathe by. This is what works for me, okay? This is my consultant planner, okay? You may have seen a training from me on this. You may have seen this document floating around. I created this the beginning of 2021 when my business needed something. It needed to be organized. I had these things that I was doing regularly, but it wasn't really all in one place. I had taken things from a bunch of different leaders that I loved, different trackers for how I was going to track annual sales or annual mentor or all of these things. And I took them and they were all over the place. And ultimately, that didn't work for me because I was constantly trying to figure out where I put something. So instead, what I did is I created one system, one planner system. So this is a consultant planner. It is made for Scentsy business. So looking ahead here, let's look at September. I have a calendar. This is a business dashboard, okay? So I have important things in here. Here's the fall, the harvest launch. I've got payday in here. I've got scent and warmer of the month runs. So, right, those are things that we know are going to happen. But then what I do is I start to filter in and fill in here. Samantha, I do not sell these. That would be out of compliance. I give it free from my heart. So I will make sure that Shelby has access to the file if she doesn't already, and make sure that you guys get a copy of it, okay? This is available to any consultant within our community, and I do them every year. So this is where I write down when I have parties starting, the host name. This is when I write down if I'm setting up a new recruit where their 15th day lies, right? So I know when to follow up. I do have a separate onboarding system that works itself, but I also want to be front of mind. This is where I write down coaching calls I have with my team, all the things. This is at a glance. This is my dashboard, okay? Then I have my goal tracker. We don't need to go into this. Goals are goals, okay? This is just for me to keep it, my intentions for the month. Daily number tracking, important, yes, but not the point of what I'm going to show you. Order tracking, that's a follow-up system in itself. I also use Amy, but that's there. pre-orders, right? I'm going to write down all the pre-orders that I have so that they're in one place. I have in here a tracker for when it's been invoiced, when it's been paid, when it's been ordered, shipped, and delivered. My daily habits tracker, all the things in here, okay? Tons and tons. But let's talk about this. Weekly business to-dos. This is the scalable system. This is what allows me to work a full-time job still and lead a group of over 300 people and be a present mother and an attentive, doting wife, keep up with my housework and do all the things. Because some days I have more hours a day to work my business than others, right? We all do. Some days I have more energy to work my business than others. Because I'm going to tell you something, friends, you're not always going to be motivated. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline, consistency is what steps in when motivation wants to take a nap. Okay? So discipline is having a list of things that you do every day, no matter what. Okay? So I have my days broken up by activity. So team day, customer day, business day, recruit day, marketing day. Okay, these are the days that I do my things. From there, every first Monday of the month looks the same. Every second Monday of the month looks the same, so forth. But each Monday looks slightly different. They're all focused on team, but they look a little bit different every single week, okay? No matter what I have going on in my business, if I can get to these things, it's golden. If I can get through this small list of things, okay, it's anywhere from 5 to 8 things on this list. That means that I successfully touched my business, okay? On that daily habits tracker that I was talking about earlier, that is, let me go back to that so I can show you what I mean by that. My daily habits, okay? These primarily support my 3 legs of success, okay? So sale a day, recruiting conversations, booking conversations, okay? All of these things support those areas. I track how often I'm doing these things because the thing is that what you don't want to do is you don't want to not work your business every day, a little bit every day with intention, with focus, not just coming into your office and playing with some samples and calling it working your business. Guys, income producing intentional activities. There isn't a CEO in corporate America that just decides on a Monday he's not showing up for work or she's not showing up for work. It doesn't happen. It can't happen. And there's certain deliverables every single month that those executives have. Just because you're an independent business owner doesn't mean you get to just not work whenever. Okay? And I know this is going to trigger some people because somebody maybe signed up for this business thinking they could just not work their business whenever. And that's why you signed up. But I'm going to be honest with you. If that's what you're doing, you're probably not as successful as you could be if you worked every day, even just for an hour a day with intention. And when I say that, I also mean having these systems in place so that you work without distraction. Give yourself a power hour every day to run through that list of stuff, right? And you could be multitasking, right? You could be multitasking this list, right? So I could be listening to the director call because I work in the office on Mondays. There's no way I'm doing that during the 11 o'clock hour. So I wait for Jason to post the link and then I listen to it in the evening while maybe I'm preparing next month's team content or I'm preparing my newsletter template, right? Or I'm coaching through sending messages about promotions. You can multitask to an extent, but get this stuff done. Really zone in on that, right? Zone in on the things that are important. Zone in on the areas of your business that are struggling and do that, okay? Talked about spending the time to invest. Um, Having systems and processes in place helps your business run more productively, right? It's about being intentional. It's about setting your time, not just coming into your office for an hour and not really focusing. Um, and then this is a big one for me. If you cannot describe what you do in a given day to work your business, if you're a leader, if you're a sponsor, if you're having a coaching call with your upline and they say to you, how often do you work your business a day? This is a big one I ask my team all the time. How often do you work your business a day or a week? And they usually give me some obscure number, right? It's like, oh, about 8 to 10 hours a week. Okay. What are you doing during those 8 to 10 hours? Because I can very often tell, especially for a consultant that's been here 6 months or more, I can tell whether or not they're doing the right things. If they tell me that they work 2 hours a day, but they're struggling to get 500 PRV, you're not doing the right things. And that's not a criticism. Many of us grow up in our business, in this organization, not knowing what the right things are. But you, friends, have an amazing, incredible resource right in front of you in this group. You have people that are willing to show you the way. There are people all throughout this company that don't even know you that are willing to show you the way. Systems are all over YouTube if you just look for them. So where you're lacking in a system, look for it. But the systems that are in place need to be there to show you what to do. That's the purpose of a system. The purpose of a process is to give you a roadmap of what you should be doing. What? No. Oh, hold on. 1 minute. I'm almost done. I'm wrapping this up. Systems are in place to show you what you should be doing. Okay? They're there to help you run your business effectively. That's what they're here for. So having the right systems in place to support the right activities in your business to get the right outcome, that's what matters. And only you can determine what that outcome is. So start there. What is the outcome I want? High PRV. Have a system in place for strong follow-up. Have a system in place for getting a new club member every single month. Have a system in place for referrals. All of those things are going to support your high PRV outcome. You want to recruit every month. You need to have a system in place for how you're tracking your conversations. Because if you're doing the right things and you're having enough conversations, you're not going to remember them all. That doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you a business owner working your business with hustle. Write it down. Do you know how many executives I've worked with over the years that write down people's names in meeting because they won't remember? I had an executive I used to support, and he was so bad with names that when he was in a conference room with new people, he would write down their names and where they were sitting, like on a piece of paper. No one knew he did this but me, who would go through his notes and type them up at the end. That was his system to make sure that people felt valued, that they felt important when he would call them and address them by names. It didn't make him a bad leader that he didn't remember people's names. It made him a great leader that he had a system in place to make sure that he wouldn't forget. That's what this is about. Make sure that you have systems in place so that you don't forget about the tasks that you need to do, so that you don't forget a customer's order, so you don't forget to follow up, because that's what's going to make you a great, strong business owner, is having the systems in place. I hope that that helps. If you guys have questions, please feel free to connect with me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, send me a message. I'd love to help. Thank you, Shelby, for having me on. I really, really hope that those tips helped. I know it was a whole lot more about the why you do it than the really like, here's what you do. But the what you do is important for you to figure out, because I don't know what's important in your business. I don't know what your ultimate goals are. You need to figure out what's going to work for you. Your leaders are here to bounce ideas off of. There's a plethora of information on YouTube, in the workstation. Find something that works for you. Love you guys. Wishing you the best of luck. Take care.